Hello everyone, Ace here, and today let's talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center, aka the SPLC, a quote-unquote civil rights organization, which can be more accurately described as an activist smear machine that tries to accuse everyone it doesn't like of secretly being Hitler. In other words, the SPLC is basically the discount version of the ADL. Well, that organization has recently been indicted on federal fraud charges. Now, you might think that judging from that headline alone, that this is more in line of raising a whole bunch of money and then spending it on a mansion or a yacht or something, which is still atrociously bad. However, it does undersell just exactly what the SPLC has done here. In truth, the SPLC has been accused of funneling millions of dollars to the leadership of the KKK, as well as other extremist groups. Now, I'm sure all 50 remaining members of the KKK will be very happy with the millions of dollars of donations that they have received from the SPLC. However, absolutely everyone else will very quickly see the issue here for numerous reasons. For a start, this exposes the entirety of the modern political correctness movement for the massive scam that it is, to the tune that not only are they failing to stop the spread of bigotry, but bigotry is such a weak position now that they actively have to prop it up and spread it themselves by secretly funding the endangered species that is the Klansman. Heck, you could also argue that this basically exposes what few remaining members that there are left of the Klan of themselves being scammers, what with them being on the receiving end of this massive grift, essentially funding themselves through the donations of civil rights activists, the very people they claim to oppose. And of course, this also demonstrates that the supposedly non-profit organization, that is the SPLC, isn't quite as non-profit as they claim they are. Because when they're funding the very extremists that they supposedly are against, that demonstrates that A, there isn't as much bigotry as they want to claim there is, and B, it suggests a very specific motive for their actions. That motive being profiteering. Now, anyone who has had to witness firsthand the BS of the SPLC is probably not that shocked by this whole situation. The SPLC has acted very shady for a long time, yet I would say it is at least a little surprising the degree to which their scam has been exposed. The fact that they are quite literally funding the KKK. If they're funding as small and as inept and as frankly irrelevant an organization as that, then it ultimately leads one to wonder who else they've been funding this entire time. Oh, and by the way, before I leave, I should mention that the SPLC was even being investigated for this, supposedly back during the days of the Biden administration, before the Biden administration supposedly shut down the investigation. So yeah, this is probably going to be one hell of a rabbit hole by the end of it. Don't be surprised if other organizations with ties to the Democrat Party also get caught. I'm just wondering how long it'll be before the ADL gets taken down for the exact same stuff. You know, assuming all of this is allowed to actually go through. Something that is far from a guarantee. We can't even rely upon the government to actually do anything about the Epstein situation, because the system itself is just that utterly rotten to the core. Still, the SPLC getting indicted for funding the KKK is news that I welcome. The SPLC getting exactly the justice it deserves is something I 100% support. And it is yet another nail in the coffin of modern political correctness. And you know what? At the end of the day, that's a good thing. Thank God for the death of political correctness. The world is quite literally a better place without it.